Hey everybody, it's Justin from Built, and 4 months ago I put out a video on the Hercules 12-inch miter saw. I had that for 4 years, and for my money, that is the #1 affordable miter saw on the market. It's full featured. I really love that miter saw. There was nothing wrong with it. My friend Chris in the UK let me know too that it's sold under the Lumberjack brand in case you're across the pond and wanted to know. But I wanted to get more of a tight form factor saw, and so that's what this video is going to be about. I purchased with my own money the Delta Cruzer, and there are 3 models on the market that are this style, which utilize either a bearing or axle system, depending on what terminology they want to use from the company. The Delta, the Rigid, which is the exact same model, different paint job, and the Bosch. The other style is a dual forward linear rail system. Usually the rails are what's moving, but here the rails stay static and the saw moves on it. So this would be the Festool, Makita, the Vevor, and the Wen. The Vevor and the Wen are white labels of each other. They're the same saw, different paint job. All right, so what we're going to do a feature review of both saws, and then we're going to run a test. The big issue, and the reason why I have $1,400 invested into 2 saws, is because I have found over the past 6 months in owning this Delta saw, it has deflection issues. That means that it is moving right or left when I pull down the saw. If you look online, there are lots of reviews for the Bosch, the Delta, the Rigid, that all make mention of this. And I knew that going in, but I figured, it can't be that bad. It's enough that I spent a lot more money and we're making this video. So I'd like to give a good standardized test so we can look at that. So what we're going to do is set up a stop block. We're going to make a whole bunch of cuts. We're going to see if they're all the exact same. They should be if we're using a stop block. If they're not, we're going to know that we have a deflection issue. If we don't see it after 20 cuts, I'll do 100 cuts. And I'm sure it'll occur at that point, and we'll look at the average on that one. But overall, I want to see if the linear rails present a more stable platform than the bearing system that those other 3 use. Let's take a look at the Delta Cruzer. This saw retails for $599. Starting in the back, we have a 2 1/4 inch dust collection hookup. However, this is a adapter that puts it over to the side. When you remove this adapter, you're actually presented with an opening that is only 1.3 inches. So your dust collection capabilities are really only at the smallest bottleneck point. So we have a very, very small opening here. And moving the camera, you can see in here there are 2 vertical lines. Those are guards, and you can see that I actually have clogging going on in here, not of real big solid material, but of just shavings getting caught on those 2 rungs. And so honestly, if you're going to buy this saw, I would probably break these, considering that the opening is only 1.3 inches. You're not going to get a giant block shooting through here down your dust collection system, but you are going to get clogs with those. So I don't really agree with putting those in there. So here we can see the actual motion, the gliding motion on this machine. We basically have 1, 2, 3 pivot points on each side that in this case they refer to it as a ball bearing system. It is very smooth, it's quiet, it's not making any noise, and it's definitely a really cool motion, at least to look at. I do have concerns over stability, and we'll kind of look at that a little bit more when we look at it from the side. It does have this little lock in place here, and one position, which is labeled 1, is for baseboards. So actually move things just a little bit closer so that we can cut a normal size baseboard with it in a locked position. So it just gave it a little bit more reach. If we move it to the 2 position, it's fully brought back for storing. Now, one thing that's just a little bit up out of view is a carrying handle. However, watch this. This is a plastic handle and it is wiggly. So there's actually no like metal or anything in here. It's just kind of attached. I have not felt safe grabbing this. I typically grab the underside of this miter saw when I carry it. On this side, we also have a depth stop, so you can flip this little platform forward and this bolt will then strike it to keep the saw from going all the way down. You can screw this to the desired height for that. And you can flip this out of the way when you want it to be able to plunge all the way down. On the left side of the saw, we have our locking pin. So if I depress the saw all the way down and I press this pin in, it will then lock it in place. This saw has one of my must-have features now. Once you have this, you don't want to get a saw without it, and that is a shadow line. And so what this will do is it's just a little LED light, and it casts a shadow on both sides of our blade. Down on your material, you will see this line that is projected down on your material. I'll take it away and I'll bring it back down. And you can also clearly see the protrusions from the teeth. So it's not just a straight line. You see these fat parts here and here and here and here. And so I'm able to line it up with this blade on both the right side, or if I wanted to cut based on the left side, I can do that because I can see that. Now, if I was using a laser, I would have to have that laser, if it's a single, set up for one side or the other, and you'd always have to remember that you have to cut on that side, one or the other. Only the Festool, to my knowledge, has 2 lasers. But in any case, a laser can become misaligned over time, whereas this shadow will always be accurate 100% of the time. To perform a miter on this saw, I first unlock the handle. It is a simple one twist either right or left to lock it or unlock it. I then depress this button right here, and then I can move it right or left. I can move 50 degrees to the left and 60 degrees to the right. We also have a static plastic plate right here. This could be replaced, or you could use a tape method on here if you wanted to have zero clearance. But it is a pretty flimsy plastic material, and actually I've roughed it up right here from the blade striking it, which should not happen. To bevel cut on this saw, there are 2 different modes that we need to think about. One, we have this. So it's very nice. It's out here in the front. This is our main lock. And so when I undo this, the bevel action can now happen. This plate in the back is positive D10 stops, and currently we're at the 45. In order to retract that, there is a lever over on the side. I pull that, and now the detent has disappeared. I can now move my saw freely in any direction because the detent lever has been retracted. And if I want to lock it down, all I have to do is lower this in the front, and it is going to stay at whatever degree I place it at. If I want to go back to positive detent stops, I have to flip this lever here in the back forward. I can then unlock it again and move it, and whenever it reaches a positive detent, it will stay. It will stay at that detent point even if this is up, but it is still important for you to close that down so you have a double lock on it. The fence on both the right and left side has 1 bolt holding it in place. It is a sliding fence, so you can adjust where it is. If you just noticed when I beveled, I didn't quite meet 45 degrees. In order to reach the 45-degree bevel, you must slide your fence a little bit over and then tighten it back down again. You can fully remove it and slide it all the way out. A few other small notables: it does have removable handles that go on the side here. They are lower than the plane of material, so I can still get my hand in here even when it's bolted in place. So it's not for material, it's just for grabbing on the side. There is a pivoting hold down, which is simply just inserted into a hole in the right or left back side. There is no screw or anything on there. This can get up to 7 inches from the blade, so it's still pretty decent of a space. You're not going to be able to get super close over here. So when we're looking at the side of this saw, as this comes out, you literally have all this mass dangling, like there's nothing here, all the way to the back of the saw. And while this is a very rigid structure and everything, what you'll find with this style is when you read online, and I read this before I bought this too, is that there is some deflection in these types of saws, which means it has a little bit of right to left movement. So when I mentioned deflection before, deflection is the act of this blade going to the right or the left. Basically, what you don't want to have happen on a miter saw, because this blade is supposed to just chop. It's supposed to come straight down in the same spot every single time. But because we have our pivot point way back there in the back, lots of people have noted that this saw has deflection. So what I can do is I can pull on the saw a little bit to the right and the left. And you can see that that blade's moving a lot. Now, obviously, when I'm using this saw, I don't want to pull. I'm not trying to pull. I don't mean to pull, but perhaps it could be happening. So the fact that it can do this is the concerning part, and really the reason why we're having this video and I've purchased another expensive saw 6 months after this one. It's because I've experienced it in my cuts, and it has happened a number of times to where it has become annoying to me. So I would like to test this right now to see if this actually is a thing for me when I'm pulling down on this handle and causing cuts to possibly be going right or left inadvertently. So this is the Makita LS1219i. It retails for $856. On the left side of the saw, we first have our locking mechanism. You pull it out and twist it, and now it will stay in the unlocked position. We have a large aluminum block casing that houses our 2 linear rails that this slides upon. So this does overall have the same concept where the actual pivot point is in the back and then the entire saw extends forward from that. But on the Delta, all of those parts had a lot of moving mechanical features to them, where this is more of a rigid solid structure right here. So it is similar, but really there is a lot more support. So from the saw, you're really looking at like this type of distance to where the actual pressure point is occurring. When we're looking at the rails here and here, they're not straight up and down. They're actually diagonal offset from each other. And part of that is because that formation gives greater stability to this downward motion that we're constantly going to be doing. So that gives it a little bit more rigidity. Also in front, we have a neat little caddy for our Allen key. So nice that it's right in the front, accessible, but also out of the way. For dust collection on the back of the machine, this port right here is 1.5 inches on the interior diameter, and this one is 1.25. These come with a hose assembly, so I can click it in here and here, and then only one port that your dust collection hose goes to. I don't like this method because now we're basically going to half that airflow down to here and up to here. So what I'm actually going to do when I set this up for myself, I'm going to put 2 separate dust collection hoses that attach to a very large inlet on my dust collection system so that I get maximum suction from both of these. I'll either 3D print something, and if I do, I will put that in the description for you to download. Otherwise, I'm going to use some sort of rubber connection thing here that you can clamp down to add a hose to in both of these spots, just again to get the most maximum suction. For my dust test later, I will use the factory installed stuff because of, I don't want to do something that you might not have access to. So I'm going to keep this on for that test. On the right side of the saw, we have the lock for the vertical of the saw. If I undo that, the saw will now raise up. Now, I've seen models of this saw that are sold with the same handles on the side like the Delta Cruzer had. This particular one that I have actually has material support wings attached to both sides. So each side adds an additional 9.5 inches worth of distance. So you're looking at 19 inches of additional material support on this when you want it. These are removable. I'll end up removing them for my setup here in the shop, but if you are going to use this out in the field, these are nice. I would caution though that this is the heaviest by far of all of the shorter footprint miter saws. This is 81 pounds and it feels like it when I'm carrying it. For our miter adjustments, first we have a locking knob. Give it 2 twists. That's really all you need to do. Don't go crazy. Then you have 2 different locking mechanisms here. If I flip this one down, it enables me to move it without the positive stop detents interacting with it. If I bring it back up and I press that button, it will lock at the detents when we get to them. This has a full range of 60 degrees in both directions, which is just absolutely huge for a miter saw. So to unlock the bevel, I just turn it one turn to the left. That's it. There's some reviewer who's talking about how you have to turn it a whole bunch of times. That's incorrect. So one turn back, it's now locked in place. So one turn open, here we go. If I want to make it go to the right, what I need to do is turn off the detent positive stop. So that is accomplished by pressing this button right here. So I do have to reach behind here, that's the only time. And now I can bevel over to the right side. When I bring it back, the detent activates again, and now it stops at 90. So one turn, it's locked back in place, it's not going anywhere. There is an incredibly large dust collection hood back here, as well as another small one here that engages when I start to bring it down. They will even collide with each other depending on where I'm at. So I'll be interested to see how this does from a dust collection standpoint. This saw does have a laser instead of a shadow. I am disappointed in that. That was one of the reasons why I originally didn't buy this saw, and I bought the Delta instead, but to my delight, there is a aftermarket way to install one on this, so I will be installing a shadow to this saw in the next video that I also show the dust collection setup as well. The kerf boards here are independent, and so you can actually loosen the 3 screws on each side and move it closer to get to more of a zero clearance kerf here. That's pretty nice. You can access the 2 that are back there by just rotating the saw. See how it appears right here. Also, just to note, there are other accessories that don't come with this machine. There is a crown molding adapter here that inserts into these 2 holes, and there is also a horizontal vise. They call this a vertical vise. So the horizontal vise would push it against the fence, and that would insert into one of these 2 holes here, pushing the material that way. So my son Ben here is a lefty. Hey Ben.
Hey.
So Ben is going to try out for both of us if either one of these saws are comfortable to use for a left-handed. So go ahead and try that. The saw's off right now, so we're not going to accidentally activate it, but see if it's comfortable for you.
Okay. It's a lot easier to use it on my right hand, but I'm lefty and I want to use my left hand.
All right, let's try it on the other one.
I'd say it was a little bit easier to use it with my left hand, but still not great.
So overall, both of these not good for a lefty is basically the big one. Okay, thanks, bud. Let's take a look at our sawdust test. The station was clean right before this. We did 1 cut with the Delta, and there's light powder everywhere. Miter saws are dirty. The Makita, we're also getting an equivalent amount of light powder everywhere. It seems to be pretty similar. Now this is on the Delta after we did 20, and you can see large piles of sawdust. Not so with the Makita. Obviously, this one has a better dust collection system. We're over at the Delta, and I have the blade lined up exactly in the middle of the screen right now. So you see it in between the plates here, right? So it's perfectly in the middle. Now watch when I apply some pressure, and this isn't even a lot of pressure. I can literally take it all the way over to that side, and I can literally take it all the way over to this side. So while it wants to stay in the middle all the time, just because you're applying pressure down on this doesn't mean I can't move it a little bit to the left or move it a little bit to the right as I do this. That's where that deviation is coming from. This was something that I had seen people post about, and I mean, I'm doing it one hand right now. I can make it touch this if I really pull hard, which obviously you're not going to do during operation, but it's just bad that it can do that in the first place. And I read the reviews beforehand of people saying that there's deviation in this. I said it can't be that bad. It is a lot worse than I thought it was. Now, when we are closer to the fence, so I have this pulled all the way back right now. Yeah, it still does it a lot. It's obviously more of a problem when we're way out here right now. The further out you are, obviously, the worse it is. So if you were cutting something really long, this could be a big problem. I'm also going to lock this into place right now. it still moves around a ton. I shouldn't be able to do that. That's the main thing. Like, I mean, it's one thing if it's a little thing, but I mean, that's a giant wiggle, right? So this is really the main reason why I'm swapping out this saw. All right, so same close-up on the blade directly in the middle. I'm going to try and pull to the left. You can see I can get a teeny bit here, but that's as much as I can do. And now I'm going to try to the right. So, I mean, there is a teeny bit of deflection. I would say it's 75% less than over on the other one. The other one was literally striking. I could literally get it to touch the kerf plate over here. And I'm really pulling right now. For the tests, I have clamped down a piece of extruded aluminum. That way I know I am perfectly square here with the fence and with my blade. I have it clamped down twice, plus a stop at the end, just because it's imperative that this does not move. If it moved, it would obviously taint the results and it would be worthless. So, very important there. All right, so looking at the camera from over there, it's really, really obvious we have a couple that are super off. Now this one feels really high. This one, so I'm gonna exit. These two are out. So on this block, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we had 11 cut. 2 of these are different in height. And then over on this one, for whatever reason, this one is super high. I can see it. These 2 are low. I'm gonna pull them out. So this stack of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 3 of them are bad out of the 9, both high and low. These 2 are both high, seeing as it kind of goes in the wrong direction. So honestly, these are looking pretty darn perfect. Okay, I feel the slightest of a little lip right here. It's flush right here, but there's a little lip right there. So we'll ding it right there. We'll go for that. And we got a little bit of a little itty bitty lip back here. Yeah, so we got 2, and honestly, these are 2 very minimal. I mean, it's really only the thickness of a fingernail right there. So now that I have all these lined up, honestly, there's a lot more over here I could ding if I wanted to, but we're gonna leave it at 5 bad ones over here to 2, and these were barely 2, and those are pretty heavy 5s. So like most of us, I make a spreadsheet when I'm buying a new large expensive tool. I put all of the tools on this spreadsheet, and I'm going to have that spreadsheet up on bittnerbuilt.com on the resources page if you want to download it. It compares the Weaver, Bosch, Delta, Rigid, Wen, Makita, and Festool. That way you can see all of their specs lined up. And there's honestly a reason why I bought this Delta to begin with. It is one of the mid-range. It is $600. The cheapos are $250. The Makita is $850, and the Festool is $1650, so many times more. And so I said, okay, it is the mid-range, and it has all the bells and whistles. It has the shadow. It has the largest cut capacity out of any of them at 18 inches. It has brake stop on there. It has a lot of stuff to it. It's also not crazy heavy. How heavy is this one? It is 64 pounds compared to the 81 pounds of the other one. That's a lot. It also has the longest warranty, 5 years. So there's lots of reasons why I chose this one. But not even specifically this one, but all 3 that share this bearing architecture back here, you can find a lot of comments online where people are saying I have problems with deflection. So it's not even just the Delta, it's all 3. So that data plus my 6 months of owning this one and using this one was like, it's not accurate. I don't want to keep this anymore. And that was an expensive mistake for me, honestly, because now I'm going to have to sell this at a big discount to get rid of it, and I have to be honest with the person that I don't feel it's super accurate. And then I had to spend a lot more money on a more expensive saw. So expensive mistake for me, you know. oftentimes the adage, buy once, cry once. I don't know if I'd want to still go for the Festool. I have not tried that, and of course they have a phenomenal reputation, but at that price point you still have to start wondering, is it worth it? And it also only uses a double laser on there, not a shadow line, and I love shadow lines. So you can't even mod that one. It has such a big casing around it that it can't be added. So I'm thinking that I like my choice in the Makita. Now, my friend Chris from the UK, who I mentioned earlier, his daughter Holly is a big Makita fan, so shout out Holly, and I'm sure she's going to be very excited that now I'm rocking teal in the shop for my miter saw. So she's a young one, but she loves power tools, so that's very, very cool. Good on you, Holly. If you got a lot of good content out of this video, I hope you'll hit like and subscribe. That's what helps me out quite a bit. I'm going to be putting out another video pretty soon, probably 2 to 3 weeks from now on the Makita. I'm going to mod the dust collection system. I'm going to add in the shadow sight, and I'm even going to replace the fence, or at least that's my plan, with an attached dust collection addition to it, just to try and max out that dust collection capability. So stay tuned for that one. Stay safe in the shop. I'll see you in the next one.